reached out and asked if you had read the indictment. You said you read it word for word, page for page, right?
I did. I keep up. I love Jackson.
Even though they've not been in court and they've not been found guilty, it's just an indictment at this point.
They don't see it. My first statement was, think of your family. Think about your family. Put your family first.
I never thought in a million years we would have been put in the situation that we were in. Never. Because we went through our whole career doing the right thing.
It's utterly ridiculous to me. Utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. And good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's edition of the Othor Cain Show. I am glad to have you here tonight. We really do appreciate that. Thank you, Carol, listening in from Chattanooga tonight. We certainly do appreciate the fact that you are here. Grateful to all of you for being here, for sharing with us, for supporting this platform. Right, we couldn't do this without you. We absolutely could not do this without you. We appreciate that. We appreciate it. We appreciate your support, both being on the live stream with us, your financial support. We appreciate all of that. Hey, Barbara, how are you? Glad to have you here tonight as well. And all of you, we just absolutely appreciate you guys being with us tonight. So got a couple of different things that we want to talk about tonight. We kind of want to wrap up this runoff election conversation, and then we're onward to June. But we also got a couple of other things, that we want to kind of talk about tonight. But my producer just reminded me, and I shouldn't even say reminded me. I should say she just informed me. Excuse me, she just informed me because I had no idea. I had no idea that you needed the driver's license, the verified driver's license, to vote in the upcoming general election in June. I had no idea. Did not know that whatsoever. You need the real ID, according to my producer. Hey, Jeremy, glad to have you here. The real ID, and it's the ID. You have to have that gold star in the top right hand corner of your ID. You got to have that. Did not know that. All right. So if you haven't got it, get it. So yeah, you got to do that. Beginning May 7th, 2025, residents 18 and older will need a real ID compliant driver's license or identification card to board domestic flights and to do other kinds of things. That's good information, Dr. J. Thank you for sharing that. Did not realize that. All right. So I'll make sure you get that done so you can be ready for the election in June. All right. Make sure you get that done. Yep, even to fly, Jeremy. You gotta have it even to fly. So you guys go on and do that. Get it done, right? Don't get caught. Don't get stopped. So go on and get it done. DMV in Jackson will be open this Saturday. All right, good deal, Barbara. Thank you. DMV in Jackson will be open this Saturday. All right. Good deal. Hey, Cynthia, glad to have you here. Pittman Park neighborhood. Awesome. Glad to have you here, man. We do appreciate that. So listen, let's go on. And my glasses are really dirty and my allergies and sinuses are really flared. This time of year, the spring, y'all can have it. Y'all can have spring and all this pollen. It wears me out. It does me bad. Y'all can absolutely have it. Spring is not my time. Right, it's not my favorite time of the year because of all this pollen and stuff. But anyway, so So let's wrap up this runoff election, right? Let's wrap up this runoff election conversation, right? Um, let's wrap it up. So first of all, I will say congratulations to Senator John Horhn. He now carries the title of Democratic nominee for mayor. Right? He is the Democratic nominee for mayor. He moves on to the general election. And my producer provided this picture, and I honestly, through my own ignorance, I did not know John's dad, Mr. Horn, was still alive. I did not know that. And it's so good to see Mr. Horn there in the picture. Mr. Horn worked for Congressman Thompson for many, many years. They were comrades for many, many years. And so that's a picture from Senator Horn's victory celebration on this past Tuesday. So congratulations to him. He becomes the Democratic nominee for mayor of the city of Jackson. So I made a long post on Wednesday morning. I made a long post after not being able to sleep Tuesday night at all. But I made a long post, about my thoughts and so I'll repeat a little of that tonight. But I guess the biggest question is one. Several people have asked about my support of John Horn going forward, and my position is this: I will 100%, 100%, whomever is elected in June, absolutely 100%, emphatically support whoever wins in June, whoever wins in June. And like I said in that post, my passion, my love for Jackson is not predicated on one person. It's not predicated on who sits in the mayor's seat, right? So none of that will change. But if you haven't had a chance to read that, I would invite you to read it. Carol is asking, Othor, is the mayoral election final? Does independent or Republican candidates stand a chance? I would tell you that the Republican candidates don't stand a snowball chance in hell of winning. I'll tell you that for sure. A Republican candidate does not stand a snowball's chance in hell of winning the mayor's race. And this is just a personal opinion. I just don't think that. I think DePriest, Rodney DePriest, who is an independent candidate, and I don't know if he's the only independent candidate, but he is the independent candidate with the most name recognition at this point. So I will say that the race isn't over. I think that he's the person to beat for John. I think he's the person that John has to beat in June. I will tell you this. An independent won very recently in Baton Rouge, and similar to us here in Jackson, that Democratic primary was highly contested and got a little nasty. I don't know if it got as nasty as it did here in Jackson, but at the end, that independent candidate actually won. I think in Harrisburg a while back, the independent candidate won. Excuse me, the independent candidate. Man, I'm a little sleepy. The independent candidate won in Harrisburg, several years back. So I would not discount Rodney DePriest by no stretch of the imagination. If I had to offer a piece of advice, not that they asked, but if I had to offer a piece of advice to the Horn camp, I would say don't sleep on Rodney DePriest. Jeremy says, I know how you feel about Kim Wade, but are there any points of his you agree with? That's a very fair question. That's a very fair question, and I will answer it as ignorantly as I know how. So to be totally honest with you, I've not really followed Kim's messaging at all, and maybe I should do that. Really, um, I have not followed any of Kim's messaging because we just vehemently disagree politically on everything, right? I mean, we just absolutely vehemently disagree on everything politically, and so I'm not even taking the time to review his messaging at all, and even and it's probably unfair, and it's probably a disservice that I'm doing, even at these forums. I just kind of tuned him out a little bit, but but he's running as an independent. So I guess it's Kim, Zach, those two are also running as independents. I forgot that Kim is a Republican, and I guess he wanted to make sure he made it to the general election. I'm assuming that's why he opted to run as an independent. So again, I think John's camp, Horn's camp, should not sleep on the independents that are in the race. I just don't think Zach stands a chance. I don't think Zach stands a chance at all, right? I don't think that at all. Hey Sharon, how are you, man? I'm glad to have you here. I don't think Zach stands a chance at all, and those are my thoughts really for Kim. But Kim may register. Kim will register better than Zach for sure in my mind, but I just don't think that on a winnable scale, I don't think Kim has a chance. I think Rodney DePriest is the guy to run against. Jeremy says I agree with him on the panhandling aspect. He says he will fine you if you give to them and donate the fine to charities. I don't even know that I agree with that, and I guess I'll probably need to read that in a more contextual kind of way, right? I'll need to read that in a more contextual kind of way. He says he will find you if you give to them and donate the fine to just why would I be fined for giving? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I need to hear that, see that in a more contextual um, way, framed right, maybe framed in its totality. But I give when I have it. I do that often. I do that often. But again, on a winnable scale, I don't think Kim, stands a chance. On a winnable scale, I don't think Zach stands a chance. But I do think Dupree is the person. Dupriest is the person to watch because it promotes them standing by St. Dominic. I hear him. I hear him. I hear you. But I would tell you, I'm glad you asked that. I'm glad you brought Kim Wade into the picture because I probably need to rid myself of some of the ignorance that I hold and really kind of look at his messaging. But he and I just disagree so vehemently. I mean, we're just on two polar ends of the spectrum, and I just on a winnable scale, I don't think Kim can win in Jackson, and on a winnable scale, I don't think Zach can win in Jackson. But again, everybody has a right to run, right? But for me, it's just about being able to win. Um, but word to the wise, as it relates to the Horns camp, I certainly wouldn't rest on my laurels. I think this next 40, 45 days, I think they're going to be very telling. I think they're going to be very, 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 very telling. I think there are more tricks up folks' sleeves. I believe that. I think that there are more tricks up folks' sleeves. I really do believe that. I saw a comment. I don't know who it was from. about Hattiesburg, and they mentioned the person's name. And I'm sorry, I let that go by and missed it. Um, oh, Stephen James. I thought it was Stephen that made the post. Yes, the mayor in Hattiesburg is Toby Barker, ran as an independent. Yep, and Toby really is a Republican, and he was in the he was in the legislature, and so it happened in Hattiesburg a few years back, and it just recently happened in Baton Rouge. So I don't think that you should sleep, on independent Rodney DePriest. I just don't think that you should sleep on him. I hope that he is able to build some community engagement. I think that he kind of, I don't know if that was strategic or not. I've just not seen real connection with him, and so I hope he's able to build that. I hope he's able to build that. But I'm going to tell you, more than the mayor's race, for me, I am really watching the Ward 1 City Council race for June. That's to me, and well, for me, that race for me is probably more, not necessarily more important, but it's higher on my radar than this mayoral race. And I'll tell you why. For the last however many years, usually the mayor of Jackson comes out of the Democratic primary. That's how it's been for the last however many years, a long time, right? That's how it's been. Um, I'm not saying that's how it's going to go this time, but if we're following trends in history, which is why they use whatever strategy, and the mayor of Jackson has been decided out of the Democratic primary, and so if we're following history, that might happen this time too, which for me makes Ward 1 City Council race higher on the scale for me to watch, because honestly, I think it is over for Ashby Foote, who is the current city council person in Ward 1, and he's a Republican, and he decided to run as an independent. The whole narrative about Northeast Jackson Republicans, voting in the Democratic primary, right? Um, 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 so he was a part of that conversation, a part of that strategy. For me, I think he is going to be the sacrificial lamb for the Republicans, because I think he's going to lose. I think Ashby is going to lose. So when you couple that strategy that they use and the number of folk that I hear, especially business folk in Northeast Jackson, that are not satisfied with Ashby Foote, I think Ashby is going to be the sacrificial lamb for the Republicans come June. I think he'll lose that seat. Dr. J says Jackson is 85% black. They don't need a white man to save them, but thanks to DePriest. And it's easy to say that, but let's just be very clear. It's easy to say that. There are several black cities and black towns around that had black mayors, and they've gone back to white mayors. So that sounds good, right? I mean, Baton Rouge, again, it's an example. Black mayor, now white. Hattiesburg is an example. Black mayor, now white. Natchez is an example. Black mayor, now white. Stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. And again, um, the Horhn camp should not make the fatal mistake of resting, on their laurels. And, and there are a lot of theories out there in terms of what's going to happen over the next 40, 45 days. And there are a lot of theories out there about strategy over the next 40, 45 days. All I'm saying is, I don't know what's going to happen. All I'm saying is we should brace ourselves for anything to happen, for anything to happen. We should absolutely brace ourselves for anything to happen. Right? Right? So I'm just saying we absolutely should brace ourselves for anything to happen. So that's really that's all I have. June is going to be very important. The general election is going to be very, very, very important. In fact, um, the general election may be even more significant than the primaries if all of this stuff that I'm hearing, comes into play, right? If all this stuff that I'm hearing comes into play. Dawn says those Republicans are switching over to Rodney DePriest campaign now. I've been hearing that. Totally. Jeremy says, what do you think of known Republicans or Democrats who changed their party affiliation? Some say Trump did this. I don't know that I attribute party switching to Trump. Not totally, because people have been doing that, for a long time. I mean, Democrats have switched to the Republican Party, for a long time, long before Trump. So I don't know that I would give him 100% credit for that. I would say though that I think that I think that you can attribute maybe the surge here recently to that, but I don't think he's the lone reason why. I think for the most part, these Democrats have been closeted Republicans all along, right? And maybe Trump has given them an easier way out to make the switch. I think that they've been closeted Republicans all along. Yeah, Barbara says I think we should be open-minded. I agree. I absolutely agree. I think we should all be open-minded. Which and to that point, Barbara, that's why I was a little convicted by Jeremy's comment about Kim Wade, right? I was convicted by that, and I stand convicted. So I am going to go back and kind of read some stuff about him, because right now I'm ignorant to any of his messaging, because he and I just stands on we stand on polar ends of the political spectrum, and I just kind of didn't listen, right? Didn't follow, didn't listen. But Jeremy convicted me tonight, and I am going to at least go back and read. Don says, now that those Republicans strategized and got Antar out of the way, they're jumping ship, because the plan all along was to back John Horhn up to a certain point, and then pick the candidate they really wanted. Yeah, I've been hearing that. I don't know what kind of feet or what kind of legs that will grow. I don't know that, but I've been hearing that. I've been hearing that. Jeremy says, who do you support at this point after the recent results? Jeremy, that's a good question, and if I'm honest, I've not declared my support for anyone at this point. I am going to listen to Mr. DePriest. I'm going to listen to him. Hope I have an opportunity to get to chat with him soon. So I'm going to listen to him. I was convicted by you tonight, brother. I'm going to at least listen to Kim Wade, though I hardly doubt he could possibly say anything, or I will read anything that will remotely make me give him my vote. I just don't think that will happen. So I could be honest here, even, and I am going to go back and read Kim's messaging. At least I won't be at this point again. But I can safely say that I'm going to weigh the odds between Rodney DePriest and John Horhn. Jeremy says, I stand on different sides as Kim as well. However, you must know and understand I agree 100%, my brother. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. John says, I'm Rodney the Priest and never John Horn. I get it, man. There are people like that. There are people like that. Which is again why I don't think, Horn's camp should rest on their laurels. They had a decisive victory on Tuesday, a decisive victory on Tuesday. Um, but I don't think that they can afford to rest. I don't think they can afford to rest on their laurels at all. So you got to keep that momentum, and I guess the messaging going. But prayerfully, the general election won't be as nasty as the preference. But again, congratulations, John Horn, a very decisive victory on Tuesday. And so I would encourage you, please read my post from yesterday. It explains my thoughts, how I landed, where I landed, and all of that. So please read that. All right. So that's enough of that. That's enough of political talk for tonight. I want to delve into. Okay, well, Carol says, will Horn debate? Horn would not debate Antar because Antar would have walked the floor with him. He would not debate him, but perhaps he might debate DePriest, and the other candidates, the candidates that he'll meet in June. He perhaps will. He might. I don't know. He might. John is not the best orator. And that's another thing you have to factor in. He's not the best orator. I think he has a very pronounced stutter. So he's not the best orator. And I think that when you are considering these kinds of events, debates, and all that, you got to factor that in. And you always want to position yourself, in the best light possible. And I think that he made the absolute right decision not to debate Lumumba. I think that he made the absolute right decision not to debate him. And I don't think that decision was based on issues at all. I think the decision was based on performance, right? I think it was based on performance. And again, I think it was the right decision because as a candidate, you want to make sure that you're always positioned in the best light possible, right? And Don says he ain't the best choice either. That's hilarious. So Carol, I don't know if he will or not. I know that he didn't during the primaries. He attended forums, but didn't do a debate. I would be hard pressed to believe that he will agree. I apologize. No sleep last night. I apologize. I would be hard pressed to believe that he will offer himself for a debate this time. J. Bar says, whoever ends up as mayor, we have the ability to stay on their necks to move Jackson forward, city council too. I 100% agree with you. And to that point, J. Bar, thank you for saying that. Thank you for lifting that. To that point, citizens, we've got to stay engaged. Here's what happens, right? You build up all of this momentum, on the campaign trail. You build up all of this momentum. Everybody's arguing, everybody's fighting, and everybody's punching, and everybody's clamoring, for their candidate. And then it just fades away. And essentially, the candidates have gotten smart. When they win, they've gotten smart. Oh, they're not going to be engaged. They're not going to stay committed to this process. They're not going to follow these issues. But we've got to do better. We've got to stay engaged. And you're absolutely right, Council 2. Agree, Lumumba would have outshined in a debate big time. Absolutely. And, and that's the beauty of having, and I don't know, what kind of team John had, but that's the beauty of having a good team around you that people that recognize your strength and people that recognize your weaknesses, and they're not afraid to have those tough conversations. Lumumba would have walked the floor with John Horn, in a debate. And so kudos to him for deciding not to do it. I can say that now, but I was hoping he would agree, to get mollywopped, but that didn't happen. Jefferson says, thanks for what you do, Othor Cain Media. Please consider using your talents to help the city in an elected position. You have a powerful voice. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate it. I absolutely, appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So that's that. Those are my thoughts on the primaries. It's over. It's done. Congratulations, John Horhn. Onward to June, and we'll figure out where we land. I will say this finally again, that whoever wins in June, I will offer my full support to them until I cannot. All right. All right, y'all. Let's talk about a couple of people that's making headlines, and that's Shannon Sharpe. I know Mollywop, right? That's Shannon Sharpe and Kanye West. Hey, Shannon Sharpe and Kanye West. What's up, nephew? Good talking to you earlier. So listen, man. Listen. Let's deal with Shannon first, because I think I want to spend a little time really attempting to unpack what's going on. Not that I know, but what we see on the surface that's going on with Kanye. I think that's worthy of a longer conversation, Uncle Shay Shay. But come on, man, this Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe is not very sharp, right? Shannon is not very sharp at all. Not very sharp at all. At all. 19 years old. Now, it's hard for me to agree with Monique. I've fallen out, and I've lost all kinds of respect for Monique. But I have to admit, when you're right, you're right. And a friend told me, and he said this several times to me, that a broke clock is right at least twice a day, right? A broke clock is right at least twice a day. And Monique tried to tell the man that he didn't need to be messing with these little young tenderonis, right? She was like, in all of her foul language, she was like, you need to get you a real woman. Get you an older woman. And leave those gold digging young girls alone. Get you an older woman. I think the clip that I watched of that show, when she interviewed with him, she said something, you don't need no 26-year-old, you don't need no 36-year-old. Get you a grown woman. Get you a grown woman. Now, there's a part of me that believes that it was consensual, right? I think I really do believe that it was consensual. I think that I believe that. I don't know enough about it to form an opinion otherwise. I really do think it was consensual. But 19, what can a 19-year-old piece of do for you, 50-something-year-old man? Come on, man. 19. 19. But I think it was a setup. So I guess this is where I land. At what point are we going to learn? Sinbad. Oh, that's funny. Jamar says Sinbad said it best. Shannon needs a woman that can identify the signs of a stroke. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. 19. I think it's a 19-year-old. I'm trying. I keep saying that because I'm trying. My friend has a name for it, and I can't think of the name of it right now. I can't think of the name of it right now. But come on, man. But when are we gonna learn? When are we going to learn? I've seen white women bring these black men down time and time and time again, man. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen time and time and time again. At some point, they're going to always show us that we're black, right? At some point, they're going to always show us that we are black, right? At some point. At some point. Yes, Carol. Yes, she is. She is. She is. She is. So, when are we going to learn? When are we going to learn? And sometimes I think these guys that get into situations like this and it begins to happen repeatedly because you remember the video and now this. Sometimes I wonder and ponder that they're trying to prove something to somebody, right? Like when you find yourself in situations like this over and over and over again, what are you trying to prove? What's the message there, right? Absolutely, Barbara. Barbara says, look what happened to the football player from the Titans dealing with that young girl. And you're right. The age isn't a crime, but it isn't a crime in the sense that he could be arrested for it. But it is a crime in my mind of morals, right? And you're right, it's the allegations of rape. That's the problem. It's not the age, right? It's not the age. But morality, it's a moral crime. For me, it's a moral crime. You're 50, what, 4? Oh man, when are we going to learn? When are we going? And there have been countless examples. And I can toss some names out now, but I'll leave that alone. But we've had countless examples, even right here in our area. We've had countless examples of this. I just don't give. Jay says she doesn't look good. The internet says she looks like John Travolta. That's hilarious. That's that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Yeah, that's who I assume she was talking about. Dawn with Steve McNair. That's who I assume. But there've been countless examples. Come on, countless examples. Even here locally, countless examples. We got to stop. What are you trying to prove? What are you trying to prove? But again, for me, I think it was consensual. I think it was consensual. She's milking it. $50 million, milking it, milking it, or trying to milk it. And then suppose there's an alleged video. She's made you know, these crazy remarks that both of them made. It's crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. He needs to grow up. He needs to grow up. Grow up. Get him a mature woman, an adult woman. Maybe that would kind of change his mind about some things, right? Maybe that would change his mind about some things. But on to Kanye West. On to Kanye West. Come on, man. So Dr. J, my producer here, brought up a good point on somebody's post. I think we were responding to somebody's post, and um, and mental illness came up, right? And I responded to the post and said mental illness is a real thing. Um, and Dr. J raised some really good points, and I think it's deserving of a deeper conversation, more time than we have tonight. But I do want to spend some time tonight talking about it, but spend some time in a real kind of way on the show, talking about the effects of mental illness and how it plays out, how it manifests, how it shows up. Right? I want to spend some real time because I don't think we have these real intimate conversations in our community. Right? Well, kudos to Travis Hunter. He went to Jacksonville. Okay. I didn't know that. But yeah, you're right. Even Travis Hunter, who just went to the Jacksonville Jaguars, has been harassed for his choices. But let those people live. Yeah, I agree with that. But listen, man. Listen. Kanye. And so we were having a discussion about mental illness, and Dr. J asked some very uh, pointed and poignant questions, and really good questions. One point that she made, and it really caused me to pause and think. And she said, "Is it really mental illness when he's opening up, being transparent, talking about his lived experiences, talking about his hurt? Is that mental illness?" And I had to pause there. I had to pause for a minute. She said, "Is that mental illness?" And she was asking, in a very authentic way, uh, wanting to know. She was like, when a person is telling their truths, speaking their truths, is that mental illness? And so I had to pause, but I had to think about that thing, and and I don't think telling your truth is a sign of mental illness. Well, let's just say I don't think telling your truth is necessarily a sign of mental illness. And Dr. J, I think you sharing your story about being abused, I don't think that's mental illness at all. And if there's anybody that attends to or attempts to shape that as such, I think that's weird. I think that's crazy. So I don't think speaking your truth is mental illness. I don't think speaking your truth is mental illness. But I think that when you talk about your behavior and the behavior that you inflict upon others, I think that's the mental illness piece, right? I I think that the actions of Kanye West, not speaking his truth, but his actions, his behavior, I think they classify as signs of mental health issues. So there's a quote. I guess this is from Kanye. This song is called Cousins. West wrote in a since deleted tweet per e-news about my cousin that's locked in jail for life for killing a pregnant lady a few years after I told him we wouldn't look at dirty magazines together anymore. And I remember reading the quote, perhaps in my self-centered mess, right? Perhaps in my self-centered mess. That statement itself is loaded. And that's where mental issues comes in. I felt it was my fault I showed him those dirty magazines when he was 6, and then we acted out what we saw. He added, explaining how his parents had X-rated publications that he found hidden in their closets. You know, he says, my name is Yi, I guess, and I sucked my cousin's penis till I was 14. And he said that, you know, my dad had these magazines and my mom had these publications, and what was in my mom's publication, you know, is kind of what they acted out. Barbara says, I think Kanye needed some help. Seems to me he hasn't allowed himself to heal. So speaking his truth is not the mental issue component for me. I think that his acts, and I think that the pain that he inflicts upon others is where the mental instability shows up for me. And I know that there are people who will rest on or who stop at him saying he sucked his cousin's penis until he was 14. I think that people hit the brakes there and just focus on that statement. And because he said it out loud, people cringe and you know, they cringe at it and they frown upon it. But I think for me, where the mental challenges shows up there is what led to that and the pain that's inflicted. You know, I don't know if he was older, the cousin was younger. You know, we don't know the full context of how, you know, it happened, except for what he said. And I told somebody today, I don't know if any of it is true, period. Sometimes people say things for headlines. Sometimes people say things to get what we're doing right now, talking about. So I don't know if it's true. I don't know. But I mean, why would he lie about something like that? But at the same time, knowing him, he is a headline grabber. And so I really don't think it's a secret that he has some challenges. I really don't think it's a secret. I think that everything about his background indicates that something is wrong. And I think that as he progressed, you know, after the death of his mom, I think all of that shows up. You know? Yeah, Don, and I think that's what I'm talking about. Seemingly Kanye is trying to be relevant again. And this could have been, you know, why would you go public with that anyway? Where's the healing in that? You're however old you are now. This happened up until you were 14. Talking about it now. Where's the healing in that? And I'm no doctor. I'm no psychiatrist or psychologist. But where's the healing in that? Where's the healing in going public with that? There are folk who say it grossed them out and they just want to focus on that. But my point is, where's the healing in that? And what's the point of it? That shows up as mental challenges for me. Where's the healing? Why now? Why public? That shows up as mental instability for me. That's how that shows up. So I don't know, but Dr. J's point, I do think that we have to have conversations. I do not think speaking your truth is where the mental challenges show up. I don't think that at all. I don't think that at all. It's the behavior. It's the actions. It's the infliction of pain and hurt. I think that's where it shows up. Because I'm still trying to grapple with where's the healing in going public with that? Where's the healing? Where's the healing? I don't know how old he is now, but if it happened until he was 14, you've since married, had children, and all of that, where's the healing in going public with that? That's my dilemma. That's my dilemma with that. But I think mental challenges is manifested in him time and time again. So Dr. James, so I get you. I just don't think that you and Kanye are on the same page. I don't think you and Kanye are on the same page at all. I get exactly what you're saying. I get exactly what you're saying. You were abused, and you get stronger every time you tell your story. And every time you tell your story, there's a possibility that it will set somebody else free. I get that. I don't think how you show up and how Kanye is showing up, I don't think they're the same. I don't think they're the same at all. Kanye appears to be the abuser here. Notice I said appears because I don't know. But I also think it's a headline grabber for him. So I don't see how healing shows up for him. I see how it does for you. I don't think your situation and Kanye's situation are mutually exclusive. I don't think they're one and the same. They show up differently to me. I get you. But I think they're different. I think when you share, I think there is a healing manifestation, not only for you, but for others that hear and listen to you. I don't think you and Kanye show up in the same kind of way. I think Kanye is a headline grabber. Barbara, I thought that early on. I just don't think that I think that anymore. Barbara asks, do you think it's a cry for help? Maybe the guilt is starting to be too much. And I guess that's a real possibility. And I don't want to fully discount that. So I guess that's a real possibility. I guess that's a real possibility. The guilt being too much for him. I don't want to discount that. I don't want to discount that at all. I don't want to overlook it. I don't want to discount that. That's a real possibility. That's a real possibility. What I'm struggling with, and this is just what I'm struggling with is him seeking real help. You got the means to get this help. You've got the financial means to get this help. You've got the financial means to keep this help private. you have the financial means to get real help, solid help, deep help for however long. I don't know how him showing up in public now about that helps. What am I missing? Help me. Y'all help me. What am I missing? Because you got the financial means to get the help. And I know you got to want the help, right? First, you got to want it. But you have the financial means to get it. You have the financial means to keep all of that private, right? You got financial means to keep all of the help that you seek private, is what I'm saying. So I don't understand how saying this, recounting this scenario, manifests itself into healing. I'm struggling with that. That's my struggle. That's my struggle. Because you can get the help, you can afford the help. And you know how Black folks sometimes we're ashamed to get help. So you got the means to keep all of that private. So I struggle with recounting it publicly, and that's a form of help. I struggle with that. Especially for me, based on how I've been reading this, you come across as the abuser, not the one being abused. Just my 2 cents. But mental health is real, y'all. Mental health is real. It's a real thing. And we shouldn't be afraid to get some help. Mental illness, our mental health is a real thing. And I contend, it's just me, I contend, it's like you know all of your other numbers, your glucose numbers, your blood pressure numbers, your, you know, all of the numbers that we're supposed to know. It's like you know all of that. You get help for all of that. Know your mental numbers. Don't be ashamed. Don't let anybody guilt trip you into seeking help. Don't let nobody guilt trip you into getting help. All right? That's all I got. That's all I got. Onward to June, right? Onward to June. Thank you, Dawn. Onward to June. Let's go. Thank you, guys. Y'all enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll get back to our segments in order and all of that next week. All right? Y'all have a great night. Take care.